New York City mayoral primary election results are coming in. Holy moly. There we have it. All right. Stop the vote. Stop the vote. Zohran wins. Do we have like a mainstream media? I want to see local news streams.
Ballots that were banked
Did they come out? First of all, good evening to both of you. And we are here at the Carpenters Union headquarters here.
The feeling was that Cuomo voters were much more likely to go to the polls on primary day.
Why are all the local news stationed at the Cuomo Carpenters Union Hall?
On those unions for phone banking and get out the vote efforts. Tonight, they have been closely monitoring turnout in strongholds, including the Bronx. How fitting that a heated primary culminates on a sweltering day. Voters in Co-op City armed with water and determined to have their voice.
Aren't white women, white people similarly comparable voting bloc? No. Are you kidding me? White women always reliably vote for the Republicans, okay? At least consistently, but by 52% or 54%. There is no 90% constituency for any demographic. This doesn't even exist for black men. It's not for black people in general. It's just black women as a voting bloc vote by higher margins for the Democratic Party than literally any. There's no comparison in modern democracy.
Continue to go on. He does not have the Working Families Party line yet, but would you like to see the WFP consider or give it to him to go on into the general election?
Zohran Mamdani and his entire campaign team ran a masterclass type campaign this election season. I truly believe that they will win this election. I don't even want to talk about any other ballot line come in November. I do believe I will be casting a ballot or casting a vote for Zohran Mamdani on the Democratic ballot line come November.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilman. So, Errol, again, we're talking to Chiose, Democratic City Councilman from Bed-Stuy, saying that he was able to possibly turn a couple of voters in favor of Zohran Mamdani against Andrew Cuomo.
Let's go.
Back to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Bernadette. We'll get back to you
Speak
a little bit later.
Chinese
Right now,
him,
we're going to talk to our Bobby Cook.
Speak a little Chinese to him, Chi.
What we are seeing.
I mean, Errol, this is exactly what we talked about. We talked about this first tranche of numbers that we were going to get. It was going to be all the early vote and the mail-in votes that have been processed as of today, and we knew that those numbers were going to skew towards Zohran Mamdani. I mean, you heard our Bob Hart say earlier that this could be the high watermark for Zohran Mamdani, and sure enough, he's up by 7 points once those votes are processed. Now we're going to see the day of votes, the ballots that were voted today. We're going to see those begin to roll in as well. But the initial numbers came in very strong for Zohran Mamdani, but that will probably change as the night goes on, as we've discussed.
Why are you testing me?
The day of votes tend to
Hasan
favor
and I've literally had him on the stream.
But right now, Zohran Mamdani with 43%.
He's a quarter Chinese.
Cuomo's 34% and 13% for Brad Lander in third place. So I think we're going to get more data pretty quickly.
I'm white Chinese. He's black Chinese. We've established this already.
Just 4%, low single digits. I think over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, we're going to see the numbers really begin to climb, and then we'll get a better sense for where we might land at the end of the night.
Well, yeah, can we see some of the other candidates? Because this is, almost like a sort of a capsule. This is the early
Brad
vote,
Lander
right?
is picking up some steam
how did some
on
of
the
the other
first.
candidates do in that early voting period?
Well, I mean, clearly Brad Lander did himself some favors with everything that's happened in the past week, right? He got arrested at immigration court, became a national story. He had a pretty strong debate performance. He, got the not the endorsement per se, but he got a lot of support from this New York Times opinion panel, and he's at 13%, which is a little bit higher than he had been doing in some of those recent polls. So those are clearly the top three. There's some space between Brad Lander and Adrian Adams in fourth place.
By the way,
Scott
a lot
Stringer
of pickups here for
fifth,
Brad is good for
2%,
Zohran.
Everybody else is down at about
Jessica
1%
Ramos.
or below.
Get the out of here.
Zohran Mamdani, Whitney Tilson, Jessica Ramos, who effectively dropped her campaign, and Michael Blake with only about 1,400 votes total, looking at the raw vote total. So he talked about this being a two-man race, and that is really what it looks like it's going to come down to.
Any policy reasons you prefer Mamdani to Lander, or is he more Riz?
Third place. He's going to accumulate some votes, and assuming this then goes to a ranked choice tabulation a week from now,
that definitely
it's going to make a big difference
for me.
who those Brad Lander
but
voters
beyond that,
ranked.
I mean, he has a lot of progressive policies. Like his platform is more progressive than Lander's, but Lander's is pretty good too.
Will then go to Mamdani once the tabulation
He's an
is
open
run.
socialist.
So, you know, a lot of moving pieces here with ranked choice voting. I think the better that Brad Lander does, the better it becomes for Zohran Mamdani tonight.
Okay, very interesting. I have Courtney Gross here with me in studio, and in some ways, not a surprise, right, that Mamdani would do well, but it really sort of sets a marker, right? If he's 10 points ahead now,
Whoa,
9 to 10 points
Mamdani
ahead,
up in
if he can
Queens,
maintain that throughout the rest
vote by mail.
of the count.
Early
That's the
vote
victory
by
he's
mail by
looking for.
8,
He's
only 3
certainly
in
in a good
Manhattan and
position. We
24
know
in
that,
Brooklyn.
Like Kusu was saying in polls that his voters were much
Wait,
more likely
Manhattan
to vote
is not
early.
good, though. What the
Really
only
interesting
3?
analysis from WNYC and Gothamist, who's really broken down where this early vote was coming
thought
from.
it'd
A
be
lot of
higher
it coming from Brownstone, Brooklyn, which is
Manhattan.
obviously
That's
kind of
not
Mamdani
good.
territory, including some analysis that showed of the early vote that came in, which was almost 400,000.
This
which
hasn't
is
refreshed
almost double
yet.
the amount that we saw in 2021. That a quarter of those early votes, which is what we're looking at now, were
Why do you
new
think Manhattan
voters,
would be
people
higher?
who hadn't voted within the last decade, potentially
younger base.
new people who had just moved to New York City, or these young voters that we clearly saw came out who are interested in the Mamdani candidacy and are out there supporting him. It shows he's got some enthusiasm. He's got some grassroots support. I mean, we've heard the lines on the campaign trail for so long that they've knocked on 1 million doors, that they have 40,000 volunteers. And I think that this is what we're showing in these numbers. Will Cuomo be able to
Y'all are
catch up?
crazy, bro.
It's
Manhattan
early.
is an incredibly
Percentage of the
densely
vote,
populated
you know,
area.
we're
There are poor people that live in Manhattan as well. Why do you think everyone that lives in Manhattan is rich? Early vote thoughts good but not great results with Zohran. Mark Levine in the driver's seat for comptroller. Jumaane Williams blowing out the public advocate's race, not surprising.
Primary day to make sure and encourage his voters to get out there, even though it's obviously
Young people do vote
brutally
early
hot
in
out
this
there.
race at least.
Yeah, to this
The
moment,
Zohran
actually,
campaign
still
did do a
in the
push for
90s.
early voting.
We've got a race to call.
They did a push for early voting. They didn't do a push for a vote by mail, obviously.
New York 1 is projecting Jumaane Williams as the winner of the Democratic primary election for public advocate. In some ways, Courtney, this wasn't all that much of a surprise, but it looks like it was an overwhelming victory. And in this kind of a case, there's no ranked choice tabulation if you're over 50%.
Yeah, so he is obviously in the clear here. Jennifer Rajkumar was trying to challenge him, clearly a very close ally of Eric Adams. You know, we've detailed and documented over the many months leading up to this primary how often Jennifer Rajkumar was with Eric Adams at press conferences. Our other colleagues in the media have done the same. I wonder if some people might see this race in particular as some sort of litmus test on the Adams administration, because Jennifer Rajkumar is clearly so close to the mayor. This was a race that many people didn't pay that much attention to. People thought that Jumaane Williams was clearly in a strong position and wasn't necessarily at risk of losing his seat.
Right. And so even with only what the Board of Elections says is about 14%, a little under 14% of the vote of the scanners having been fed in, that lead is so commanding when you
Zohran getting killed on the Upper East Side, not doing so hot on the Upper West Side either, but there's a much larger Brad Lander vote there that may end up being friendly to him. A clear weakness relative to the Manhattan juggernaut that was Catherine Garcia. I suspect this is where the Brad Lander, this is where Brad Lander comes to help, because there's definitely, I mean, these are wealthier neighborhoods, but then also it's both wealthier neighborhoods, but it's also depending on, like, Upper East Side is. Upper East Side also has, it's not just the rich people on the Upper East Side. It's also, there's also the constituency of black voters as well, right? Isn't that Upper East Side? But there's also a large percentage of the I'm worried about anti-Semitism voters there as well, for sure. Harlem is more uptown. This is only 307 votes. Oh, this doesn't, I mean, where do we get the next 60% of voters? Mamdani is only narrowly ahead of Cuomo in Manhattan, but that's mostly a fairly strong Brad Lander performance. By vote share, Cuomo is doing slightly better in Queens and slightly worse in Brooklyn.
To reach those folks.
See what Jessica
and what are
Ramos
the key
said.
issues that matter to the people in your district?
You know, well, throughout this campaign, we've seen the Cuomo campaign really engage with Black and Latino voters and Asian voters.
Bro, how is she still glazing Cuomo? That's crazy. Oh,
to want to be the next Manhattan borough president. There is no incumbent in the race. State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel and City Councilman Keith Powers are fighting to win that job. And now for the money watchdog, New York City Comptroller's job is up for grabs. Lots of contenders here. Current Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, City Council Finance Chair.
Guys, stop sending me the poly market surge, please. That is the most meaningless thing of all time. You're just desperate for copium. Stop. Staten Island incoming. 46% of scanners reported. Cuomo with 7,000. Mamdani with 5,000 votes. Lander with 1,000 votes. Adams with 695 votes. Most of the E-Day voters from the South Shore. Not at all what Cuomo needs. Yeah, it's also a ad. Yeah, literally. It's like a free ad for them. Zohran is cooked in the Bronx. Dave Weigel voice. I've seen enough. That's not Dave Weigel. That's Dave Wasserman, I think, isn't it? Is the one that does the I've seen enough.
Interesting to see who has the other citywide races, whether the incumbent Jumaane Williams stays in the public advocate role. Not a role that has a lot to it except criticizing the government, unless, as we heard from...
Yes, Zohran is not supposed to win any favors until like multiple rounds in. But judging by early vote, because these are the dumps that are coming in right now are supposed to be, as far as I understand, early votes and mail votes. Okay, so depending on Zohran's performance overall in the early votes versus the mail votes, you can make an assessment on how this will play out. Obviously, we don't know with ranked choice voting. We don't know. If nothing else, those surveys from Cuomo line packs that showed him up 12 points look very off base. All right, more dumps. Okay. Andrew Cuomo making a modest gain over Zohran Mamdani in the new dumps. Not that consequential. Zohran winning precincts in all 5 boroughs with the early vote.
Projects don't get to go through, so obviously you're going to be close with developers, and
we won't know for weeks, yes, but we can make an assessment
all across the city. But clearly, she came out ahead tonight. Not altogether surprising, but there's always. I remember she was here not too long ago when Salamanca decided not to participate in our debate, and I was talking to her, and she's like, no matter who the competitor is, you always run like it's a real race.
Yeah, you don't want to try and change whatever somebody's strategy is, but we always encourage people to come in and debate. Let people hear what your vision is. It can only help you. And we're sad that he didn't take advantage of that. Let's go to Bobby Kuza at the big board. He's got some information for us about the controller's race.
Yeah, we're taking a look at City Comptroller Mark Levine and Justin Brannan, the leading candidates in this one. Mark Levine right now with a pretty convincing lead, up 13 points on Justin Brannan. Not really a huge surprise. I mean, I think if you had to choose a favorite or a front runner in this race, it would have had to have been Mark Levine, the Manhattan Borough President, a relatively high-profile elected official. But Justin Brannan himself got a lot of support in this race, including from the progressive left. I mean, we saw him endorsed by the likes of Bernie Sanders and a number of other left-leaning advocacy groups and elected officials. And it seemed like maybe in the closing days and closing weeks of the race, he had begun to kind of narrow that gap. I mean, the only polling in this race came about a month ago, and I believe it had Mark Levine up by about 20 points. So compared to that, Justin Brannan has sort of narrowed the margin, but right now Mark Levine with a pretty comfortable lead in the early going of this race.
And there was another candidate in that race, right? Do you have numbers for Kevin Parker?
Yes, not to give Kevin Parker short shrift, but he's landed only down at 6%. He's a state senator from Brooklyn. He has run for office many times before, and some of the polling actually had showed him in the teens, but right now down at 6%. So he's in 4th place, actually, in this 4-man race.
Yeah, so the way people think, and I'm sure some of Brannan's supporters are thinking, it's like, well, look, if we've got some second-choice votes coming from those 2 other candidates, this could, in fact, be a close race by the time the numbers are all counted.
Right, and this is one of those races where we're not only going to be looking at the margin, we're going to be looking at how close this number is to 50%. Because if this race was over right now, obviously Mark Levine would have, a significant lead, but with less than 50%, he couldn't announce he was the victor. This would have to wait until next Tuesday in ranked choice voting. And in theory, yeah, like you said, if all of Ismail Malave's votes and all of Kevin Parker's votes went to Brannan, which is unlikely, but it is, you know, a mathematically possible possibility, then in that case he could actually surpass Mark Levine. Of course, that's the way ranked choice works.
I was on the wrong tab the whole time, my
but
bad.
In practice, it doesn't always mean you can make
Calm
up
down,
that
everybody.
much ground. We saw it almost happen in the mayor's race 4 years ago with Eric Adams, but that may have
This
been
half of Brooklyn early vote by early vote in
with
mail.
this kind of lead, it's very
Mamdani
hard
is
for the second or third
60%,
place
bro. He
finisher to make up
cooked
that
on
ground.
Brooklyn.
Got it. And while you're there, Bobby, could we look at some of the numbers for the borough?
He really
races that
locked
we
down
just
the
called?
podcast constituency,
We
dude.
gave
It's
Sort of
crazy.
the top line number about who won, but I'm very curious as to what the percentages look like.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at Vanessa Gibson. So I got to say, this race I thought was going to be a lot closer because Rafael Salamanca, you know, relatively well-known city councilman from the South Bronx. He's being term limited out of office. So, you know, gunning for Vanessa Gibson, who is a relatively popular borough president. She's been a lawmaker in the Bronx for a long time. It's not that often that you see a sitting elected official like this, who's pretty well liked, actually being primaried by another prominent elected official. But Rafael Salamanca got a lot of money in this race. He had some endorsements, but in the end, Vanessa Gibson seems to be running away with this thing, not particularly close. And then in the other one, we were looking.
Mamdani's early votage is powered by East Corridor in Western Queens and Brooklyn, but he's also scoring key wins in Hispanic pockets like Washington Heights and Corona and Asian enclaves such as Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst. Okay, everybody, I know I was muted for in front of 60,000 people. Shut up.
This has been overshadowed by the mayor's race, of course. The controller's position, however, very important, especially in...
Brad Lander clearly emerging as the first choice for a lot of progressive but not lefty college ed liberals. How well these voters adhere to the cross endorsement could make or break Mamdani. It won't be 100% of them. Yeah, it definitely won't be. If we see a lot of go from Brad Lander to Cuomo, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. Imagine they're just like, we were really worried about the anti-Semitism, as in translation, Islamophobia, Islamophobic cross voters that were like, we like Lander, but if it's not him, you know, we'll go with Cuomo. My mom voted Lander 1 and Cuomo 4. Wait, what? Cuomo 4? Why did your mom rank Cuomo? The one thing that everybody was saying was like, don't rank Cuomo. That was the major thing, man. What happened? Is that Gretchen Whitmer?
And through this campaign, what I've loved is watching the young people throughout the city campaigning for different candidates, not just for mayor, but for city council and controller and borough president, the young people who work for us, banging doors and campaigning every day. They represent the future of this city. And you know what they're saying? They want change. And they're not willing to wait, and neither...
Scott Stringer is a strong showing. Strong showing by Scott. I don't really care to hear what he had to say. I'm going to be honest. No disrespect.
But that's just me. Do you think that was an effective ad?
When I saw it, I wondered how the volunteers stood behind him when he was eating and all the pens and everything like that. What would happen there? That was my thought. Volunteers on that thing. It connected to people. I think the challenge is any of these ads are about what? Name ID or an issue. And I think this one was good for name ID and getting the earned media.
JC?
But I think this was a great ad.
But it was distraction.
No, I think it was a great ad because he's saying, hey, listen, even with all the drama, I can still do the work.
More dumps.
So that was a great ad. I'm with you,
50K voter, 50K voter total numbers.
When he walks in through the restaurant, did you hear this guy was going to freeze the rent? And it became almost as if synonymous. When you see Mamdani, you think freeze the rent.
What is this? I would say this is just really Lander consolidating a lot of the other candidates' support, and I think his cross endorsement is the whole ball game. We'll see what the exhaustion rate is.
The police. That's why the New York Times calls Mamdani uniquely unsuited.
That was effective and helped Andrew Cuomo, or it was being able to be used by Mamdani to say it was Islamophobia?
Mamdani using stuff and defending it as saying something like that just shows it's working. If you don't respond, if you respond to an ad, it means it's working, it's penetrating. The other question would be, how much money do they put behind it and to who? One of the problems, I think, if you look back at the Cuomo race, they did not go after their opponent early enough, and they went maybe too little too late. And this ad could have been out a week earlier.
I didn't see anything offensive in that.
They should have started fucking calling him a terrorist before.
Very well done. I got
Great
to see
assessment,
some of the
sir.
things that
Thank
he
you.
had said. They actually labeled the times he said from the police. And it was also very interesting to see the empty elevator. You know, he's had a staff that you could fit in a New York City elevator. So it's a very good attack ad to define your opponent. I saw nothing wrong with that.
But do you think that it was effective in making Andrew Cuomo's case that actually he has more experience?
Of course. It made the case because, hey, listen, this man has a staff that you could fit in an elevator, and look at some of the things he said about defunding the police.
And those are things you've been talking about. The question becomes, that message works, but was there enough money behind it? That's always the question in any of these ads. Do they do them digitally? Who do they go after? And when you buy cable TV nowadays, you need to go
Staten
on there
Island.
for 2 weeks
Oh my
for it
God.
to penetrate the audience. If you're on
What the
broadcast, you can do
fuck?
it in a
Isn't this really good? Isn't this actually good as for Mamdani from Staten Island? That's crazy. He's like 2,000 behind Cuomo in Staten Island. Wait, are white men? Dude, white men are kind of goated. What the dude? White men rise up. Oh my Lord. That's like, what does he have? Like a cop constituency? What the is this? White men rise up? What? Dude, white guys are back? What's happening? That's crazy. That is crazy. White men are going to save us. Okay, let's chill on the white man
Said in
glazing.
the last debate,
Listen, if Zohran wins with the white man vote, trust me, I'm never stopping. Okay, it's white boy summer, it's jihad summer, but it's white male jihad summer. Okay,
pumped a ton of money in Cuomo's direction in a short amount of time. Could we see something like that happen to Mayor Adams potentially in the general?
Oh, absolutely. And we can think about the role of President Trump in this case, who may well endorse and not endorse the Republican Curtis Sliwa, who doesn't stand much of a chance in this case unless something tectonic changes in the election. We know that there's already been a relationship largely around immigration enforcement. So that's a dynamic to look at, too. That could bring both benefits and difficulties in electoral terms because Donald Trump is not popular in this city. So that remains very much to be seen as we roll into the general election phase after tonight.
Yeah, very interesting, very exciting. David Birdsell, we have to leave the conversation there, but
the entire Zohran voting blog is basically white boys who say inshallah. Okay. White boys who say inshallah are up big this year. Okay. This is what it is. This is the method. I didn't even realize.
Standing by. Kelly.
That's right. We're still waiting on the candidate to get here. The speaker, she should be here shortly. But we are joined by our top and most visible supporter, the Attorney General, Letitia James.
I just voted. Okay. Slasher, our anti-Semitism correspondent. He's my Jacob Kornbluth. Slasher, who is my very own Jacob Kornbluth style Forward magazine correspondent, reporting live from New York City, which is now under the guidance of the Gestapo. He says, just voted for my boy Zohran before polls closed. A dozen Schomburg cars have immediately surrounded my apartment on the Upper West Side. I'm scared for white boy summer.
Still young, but he is winning. And again, it really represents the excitement that I saw on the streets all throughout the city of New York.
Wait, what?
And I
Andrew
haven't
Cuomo
seen
got
this
0 votes in
since
this
Barack
dump?
Obama
That doesn't make any
ran
sense.
for president of these United States. When the community in the streets was shut down all over the city with young people shouting for change. And that's what they want. Listen, just like those young people, and I'm not, obviously I'm a mature woman. I do not, and I reject fear. And there was a lot of fear politics that were injected into this race, and it's unfortunate. And what's so great about this is that New Yorkers rejected fear, and that we will not be divided. And I can assure everyone who is concerned about his platform, that I'm going to do my very best to bring everyone together so that we all can be respected.
Call it early total
regardless
victory.
of your
Yeah.
race, your ethnicity,
That's
or your
enough.
religion.
I've seen enough.
We're one
No more votes should be collected, I think. Stop counting. We got enough votes. Stop the count. It's fine. There's not enough. Guys, I'm going to make the boss call right now. We should just stop counting. Okay, everybody, how about we just stop counting right now? What do you guys think? Come on. It sounds like a good idea. Come on, this is a good amount of vote. Dude, come on. This is a good amount of people that have voted. Why do you need 1 million plus people voting? That's too many votes. Okay? I think we should just stop it right here. How about let's let bygones be bygones. It doesn't matter if other people don't get to have their vote counted. We can, because this seems like the best possible outcome. I think everyone will be comfortable. That's what I'm thinking. What are you guys thinking? Seems good, right? You should look at this if you want hopium overload. Mamdani in Manhattan at 39% with 51% scanners reported. Zohran lead growing with E-Day. The 18% Lander in RCV is a nightmare for Cuomo. Lander at 18%. Holy Cuomo at Cuomo at 34% at 65,392 votes. Okay, it's just fine though. Guys. This is a good amount. This is a healthy amount of voting. This is a healthy amount of voting that has taken place. I think we need to call it here. We need to let bygones be bygones. Like, I'm doing a Dave Wasserman, but this time I'm saying, like, stop counting. Stop counting. This is good. This is a good amount of counting. Another dump has hit the Twin Towers.
And why she is a primary candidate tonight. We'll hear from
I
her
don't
a little
see
bit
it.
later. Back to you, Errol.
Okay, thanks very much, Kelly. And we've been looking at the numbers. Courtney Gross, I mean, we're over the 50% number, meaning more than half of the vote for mayor is in at this point. What patterns are you seeing?
So we're going borough by borough.
Okay,
Just
well,
updated
we
on my
don't know that
screen
yet.
here. But,
I'll only figure out if Mamdani actually has a real shot at winning if these guys start panicking. Okay, that's the best possible way to figure out if Zohran Mamdani has a good shot at winning here. Once they start hitting oh my God, they're gonna assassinate every single one of us like Pol Pot style for wearing glasses and being counter-revolutionary. Only then will I know Zohran Mamdani is actually
is quite interesting
he's got
to me,
this in the
especially
bag.
when you go and you dig into some of the more the demographic data in some of these districts. I'm thinking about Harlem. That is a community.
Well, they
was
mentioned
in
Sharia
Harlem
law.
with Andrew Cuomo a few weeks ago,
9/11.
covering an endorsement by Governor David Patterson and the former assemblyman for that district, Keith Wright. And I'm looking at the assembly district for 71. And Zohran Mamdani has double the number of votes of Andrew Cuomo in that district. That to me shows that even though the polling has shown that perhaps Zohran Mamdani was not doing well with black voters and 50% of black voters were in Andrew Cuomo's camp, that maybe there was a demographic shift and there ended up being more black voters in Mamdani's camp. Of course, preliminary numbers, 50% still need to come in. Cuomo was doing very well on Staten Island, like we heard the Attorney General say, who's digging clearly into these numbers as we do as well. And he's doing well in the Bronx, which we've seen from the polling that is turning out to be the case.
Well, as they say, it gets late early around here. The percentage of scanners at this point is over 2/3. If this is a basketball game, we'd be in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter. There's going to be a shrinking amount of time and a shrinking number of votes. And as we knew that, and as we've told our audience, whoever gets to 50% first is the winner. So this lead that we've been looking at since the first numbers came in shortly after 9 shows Zohran Mamdani about 7 points away from 50% and victory. Andrew Cuomo, again, we're expecting
6.
numbers to come in for
You
him.
can say
but
6. It's 43.8. Come on. Don't be stingy.
Going
It's 6
2
points.
to 1 for Mamdani. That is striking, and that is telling, and that could tell the story.
Yeah, originally when we first got that
Mamdani
first
up
tranche of
21 in
voters
Brooklyn.
coming, or early votes
62%
coming in, there was a
scanners
10-point
reported,
lead.
hitting
Mamdani had 9 or 10
without
points, and
ranked
now
choice
that's
voting.
shrunk to
Zohran winning
about 8
precincts in
points.
Bensonhurst and
But
Dyker Heights.
he's at 43.8% of the vote right now, and like
That's
you
crazy.
said, it just takes 50%
Oh my God,
plus
the
1.
podcast vote,
we have
dude. Oh my
about
God,
40%,
I am so
30.
Dude, I joked. I said the podcaster vote was insignificant. It was inconsequential. I was wrong, okay? It's got all the motion, okay? Nick Mullen left, rise up. It's actually real. It's the podcast is real. All the boys, they got together, the Chapos, the Truanons, the Come Towns of the world. This community as well, I think, is like in the podcast circuit as well. I did not realize that Brooklyn was the crown jewel of New York. I had no idea, okay? I did not know it was like that.
Hey there, Errol, and I'm with with State Senator Gustavo Rivera from the Bronx, who is a Mamdani supporter. He also serves with him in the state legislature.
I do not see a scenario where Zohran Mamdani will not be the Democratic nominee come ranked choice voting final
now,
round.
You've been out with Mamdani on the campaign
Stop.
trail, and now we're seeing just in the early reporting that Mamdani looks like he's ahead of Andrew Cuomo. What do you think made a difference within the final days of this campaign?
The thing that made the difference in the final days of the campaign is the same thing that made the difference from the beginning of the campaign. This has been an incredibly well-run campaign. The message discipline has been, I mean, just second to none, because it has been a consistent thing. How do we connect with people's lives? How do we change people's lives? How do we make our city more affordable? That is a message that cuts across the board. And these are early numbers, but they're positive. And what
Bro, I have not let myself, I have not let myself believe, because I've been let down so much. Okay, I have been let down so much, as many of you have as well. I mean, but it seems like I'm seeing a lot of movement here in a very interesting direction, and it's causing me to, dare I say, feel just a crumb, just a little bit of hope. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too crazy, okay, but it does look kind of good, I think. It's a very dangerous feeling. Very dangerous feeling.
I believe that a lot of the reasons why the governor started talking about affordability is because Zohran was talking about affordability. I mean, I think if you would have asked
Possible
me
no
at
one
this
gets
time last
50%?
year
No.
what this campaign was going to be about, the mayoral
The
campaign,
whole point of
everybody would have probably said it's
the
going to be
whole
about
point of
public safety.
ranked choice
But the
voting.
reality is that the narrative changed, but it only changed because I believe that the Zohran campaign actually connected with what is really the worry of people's everyday lives. So certainly public safety is a concern, but affordability is a longer-term concern that cuts across all boroughs, all
Forecaster
all demographics,
Harry
and I think
Enton
that the numbers are
says,
showing us that.
"Holy Toledo!" I'll read it in his voice. Regarding New York City mayor, I think it's notable how different Emerson is from the other nonpartisan polls out there, and how much weight the conventional wisdom is giving Emerson, i.e., a lot. Now, to be fair, Mayor's in Manhattan out of the field earlier. Still quite the split. A lot of... Holy Toledo! A lot of the folks were paying close attention to this race, and I haven't been really. We were very much thinking Mamdani was being underplayed by polling. See early voting pre-Emerson. But if Emerson is right, you can't say they heard it. I'd also point out that primary polling is really, really hard. The average presidential primary poll is off by like 9 points. Throw municipal election and ranked choice voting. My goodness, it's tough. So kudos to the people putting their necks on the line. Are they panicking? Is it panic mode? Is it panic hands? Is it panic hand time? Momdaniacs, rise up. Okay, this feed has got nothing. This feed's got nothing. What?
To the Trump administration and the hatred and the division that it spews. We are showing people that hope.
The mood is shifting inside of Andrew Cuomo's camp as early ballots continue to come in for socialist hopefuls Zohran Mamdani. Sources tell the Post they are unsure Cuomo can make the gap with about a quarter of the vote left uncounted.
New York City that a better day is possible, and today is the first of many of them.
This is old. It's from 638. What are you talking
Mamdani
about?
is endorsed by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the Working Families Party. He is expected to show up here a little bit later in the night. It's going to be probably a late night here, but we will bring that to you as soon as he arrives. We're live for now in Long Island City, Queens.
White guys rise up, dude.
All right, Allie, thank you.
Look
and
at
one of the things
this.
about ranked choice voting, some of the
What is-
candidates
I
have
thought-
teamed up to sort of
Dude,
cross
Staten
endorse each
Island?
other. That is the case at our next headquarters. Let's go out.
Staten Island? What is happening? 38% for Zohran Mamdani at Staten Island? He's trailing behind by fucking 2,000 points in Staten Island? What is going on? I don't understand. What is this? What does this mean? Is Staten Island Hamas? I thought like Brooklyn is definitely Hamas. You know what I mean? Staten Island maybe like, Islamic Jihad, Palestinian Islamic Jihad Island, maybe. It's weird. It's weird how they're not Democrats, but dude, they're voting for a brown Muslim socialist. He is the least likely candidate to come out of, like, I didn't think that would happen.
Let's check in now with our Dan Rivoli. He's standing by at the campaign party in Park Slope for Brad Lander. Lander, of course, cross-endorsed with Mamdani late in the campaign, so in some ways this is good news for them as well. Good evening, Dan.
Good
This was
evening,
one of the
Errol. The
places?
mood here is big, it's ebullient, and it's not because of the open bar. When I spoke to a Lander campaign official before the polls
Staten
closed,
Island
they said
right
they had
now?
2 goals in this race. Win the
Yeah.
primary and prevent
The return
Andrew
for cops
Cuomo
for
from
Bernie.
getting the Democratic nomination. And now with the polls, as they're counting the votes, they are really excited to see
if cops
Mamdani.
can ride the libertarian logo, if cops can be libertarian, they can be socialist too, maybe? I don't know. I mean, it literally doesn't make any sense. Adam Carlson calls it. Did I just get locked out of Twitter? What the was this? Stick a fork in it. Zohran Mamdani will win the first round of the Democratic primary for New York City mayor. Zero path forward for Cuomo to make up that ground with RCV. A Muslim immigrant Democratic Socialist, the front runner. Okay, well, we'll see. Yeah, I didn't get logged out. It was the MX1 thing that was in the link that chatter sent. Check out the New York Times photo of the Cuomo watch party. Oh, brother.
And JC Polanco. But
This lady, okay, I want to hear from her because she's always throwing daggers. This too. This potato man right here. Let's see how they're feeling.
Effect on this race, do you think?
It took the press for the day, but beyond that, it was a campaign stunt.
It was a campaign stunt, no doubt. But let me tell you, Brad Lander went from a who knows Brad Lander to being on national television last night. The whole world now knows who Brad Lander is. He's been on every national TV show ever. And considering that he cross-endorsed Assemblyman Mamdani, it bode well for the Assemblyman, him having to get arrested. I'll tell you this,
81% of
next
votes
idea,
in.
maybe just get arrested. You may get some points.
So let's talk about the endorsements. So Mamdani got endorsed by AOC and Bernie Sanders. Did that help or hurt?
It definitely helped, no question about it. I think the mistake Mamdani made on that was not rolling it out as one of her.
Oh, this was previously recorded. I want a real-time, immediate feedback from those guys. They were chirping earlier about how awesome the Islamophobic anti-Mamdani ads were. I want to know. I want to know what's up.
He's been beside me every step of my career. He believed in me before I was even elected and helped get me to where I am today. And so I'm excited. I'm disappointed he wasn't #1 tonight, but I'm excited to see what he wants to do next. And whatever that is, electoral politics or otherwise, I'm eager to play a part in it.
And seeing the polls leading up to Election Day and now seeing the results, what do you think it says about the electorate and what Democrats here in the city
Future
want from
CBS
their
owner
nominee?
David Ellson's been eyeing a role for Barry Weiss at CBS
Leaders who are
News.
going to fix their problems. There is a huge housing
for
crisis.
60
There is a
minutes,
huge
I thought it couldn't
affordability
get
crisis.
worse.
There is a child care crisis. People can't afford to live in this city. People want action. They don't want solutions from people who caused these problems a decade or so more. They are demanding action. They want Congress to act. They want the federal
Don't show me
government to
that.
act. They want our
No,
state
stop. I
government
don't
to
want to
act,
even.
and
I
they
don't want to
certainly
even
want our
acknowledge
city
that.
government to act.
Stop. No, the 10 is too big. Okay, the 10 is too big. I don't want to
Or it
acknowledge
came
that
from
sort of
white
stuff.
voters, high income, high educated. Do you think that is still holding, or do you think the vote is reflecting a broader support than what the polls had indicated?
Zoran's working class support looks like it was dramatically underestimated by polling.
Places like that.
I haven't had a chance to really see an update of numbers or see where things are, so I can't really speak to that. I'll just say that anyone who wants to be a successful mayor of New York has to build a coalition that covers the full spectrum of New York City. That's
Bro,
the
if your
recipe to
dumbass
success.
didn't miss your
That's
11
what we
p.m.
need to see
flight, you
if
could have been at the
any
victory party with the
nominee
convoys.
who has
Dude, I don't
shot
give a
of November and then governing
Listen.
for the next 4 years,
Listen.
particularly in this age of Trump.
This is a glorious day, no matter where I'm at in the world. Are you kidding me? I don't give a shit if I'm not there. I'll be there tomorrow if I want to. I'll be there by the end of this week. This is for everybody. Okay, this is a W for everybody.
Months ago at Rochdale Village.
Also, I did say that I would move to New York for a little bit if Zohran Mamdani became the mayor. Maybe the old Democratic establishment starts throwing their weight behind candidates their voters keep saying they don't want just an idea. Look at that. Look at that. The commentariat is coming in. The commentariat is now coming in. The reason why this race is important, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything crazy. But the reason why this race is important is because everybody focused on the New York mayor. When Eric Adams won, people started fantasizing about him becoming the next president, okay? The next presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. Obviously, that was laughable. He was dog shit, and we all knew that. But all the dog shit commentary people, not saying the Podjons are, but like the Nate Silvers, the Nate Browns of the world, were running around talking about how Eric Adams is going to be the next president. That was what Matty Iglesias was saying. Okay, everybody's paying attention to this race at a time when there is a very unique dynamic within the base of support for the Democratic Party and the Democratic establishment and their ineptitude becoming glaringly obvious. People are looking for a fighter. Zohran Mamdani represented that change. He represented that dynamism. He's young, he's fresh-faced, he is uncorrupted by the normal forces that have caused all of this awfulness that New Yorkers are experiencing. People like Andrew Cuomo. It's almost like a Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders style situation. Okay? The fight is not over regardless. He still hasn't crossed the finish line. And even if he crossed the finish line in the primaries, make no mistake, I can totally see the Democratic Party and the forces that were trying to Zohran at the end will maybe even take it and do something like an India Walton style situation and try to prop up Andrew Cuomo. These guys are disgusting, okay? They are pathetic, vile demons. Do you understand? So the fight is not over yet, which is part of the reason why I'm not, overly ecstatic. But this is a really good sign. It's not just a really good sign for New York City. It's not just a really good sign for New York City. It's a really good sign because this is one of those undeniable sea change moments that could potentially pick up steam, okay? Just like what the Justice Democrats election victories did in the primaries under the first Trump administration. This is an opportunity once again, and this time the Democratic Party is even weaker than it was before. So if they don't do it for us, we will force them out, okay? If they don't actually represent the interests of their constituents, this is an opportunity for us to represent our own interests by force and claw back power from the corrupt gerontocracy that is so comfortable in their seats, so comfortable with business as usual politics because they are getting paid by the same corporate benefactors as the Republicans are. I have never seen, this past week 100% proved it, okay? 85% of the American public said no war with Iran. 5% said yes to war with Iran. Donald Trump went to war with Iran, and not a single Democrat in a position of power, like in higher ranking Democrats, actually came out and unconditionally said, what the f are we doing here? We don't want war with Iran. Nobody in this public wants, nobody in the American population wants war with Iran, and we're spending billions of dollars at the behest of Israel to go to war with Iran, doing war crimes, bombing nuclear facilities and shit like that over there, when we got cities that have homeless people everywhere. Cities are crippled. Infrastructures are crippled. Nobody has health care. There's an affordability crisis that's looming. All these, like Donald Trump supposedly won on the affordability crisis message, and he hasn't done dick. All he's done is deport your neighbors, and not a single Democrat in a position of prominence is actually using this to their advantage, even from a cynical, cold, calculated view. At this point, you have to assume that they like what's going on. They see all the violence, they see all the indecency, and they stay quiet because they don't want to do anything about it because they like what the Republicans are doing. Okay? Layoffs happening everywhere. There's so much instability. And then we have the Gestapo black bagging people in the middle of the street with their faces covered. Nobody knows if they're cops even. Maybe some of them are white supremacists that are deputized by ICE. And we just have to sit around and take it. It's okay? This is why people like Zohran are important, okay? They give people the audacity of hope, the audacity to dream that politicians could actually represent the interests of their constituents for once. They could actually run on a progressive message for once. And they can be uncompromising and unconditionally brave enough to say, no, I like this. I think we can do this. I think we can help the working poor. I think we can have free buses. I think we can have state-owned grocery stores as a pilot program. Modest social democratic reforms in one of the wealthiest cities on the planet, and people are talking as though they're going to do they're going to assassinate every landlord in the city. There will be no capital flight. Make no mistake, there will be no capital flight from New York City. Okay, even the mere threat of capital flight is enough for so many in the media to just immediately go, oh, we can't have this, we can't have this. Well, there's more of us than there are of them. Do you understand? What's wild is the election day ballots may have broken more to Zohran than the early voting, a huge showing. Cuomo was about to be broken, says Ross Barkin. I'm not going to speak like it's over, but goddamn, dude, the gap between the Democratic political class and the party's voters on this issue is colossal. Look at this. This is not just the Democrats either. Look at this. Independents also disapprove of this heavily. I'm biased, but it's super nice to have prediction. Oh, he's just doing a poly market. Stop sending me poly market tweets, please. Nate Silver is a hack and a charlatan and is doing poly market ads for without revealing that he's doing poly market ads. But because the FTC doesn't work anymore, no one is going to regulate them. Okay. Michael Lang has called it. What about Andrew Cuomo's finished? Dave Wasserman called it. No, that's not really Dave Wasserman. You dick. Chatter, why are you like this? Yeah, Dave Wasserman's thing is not Calypsio or whatever. This is not a real tweet from Dave Wasserman. More good news for the New York City left. From Taniel, excellent news for the New York City left. There were 10 city council members of the Progressive Caucus who faced primary challengers today, some of them very ideologically polarized primaries. All 10 incumbents are leading by a lot. I like that I said, stop sending me poly market bets, and you literally are sending me instead Kalshi tweets. I don't care about any of those things, okay? I don't care about betting market. The election center projection is Zohran Mamdani is a projected winner in New York City mayor Democratic primary. He will defeat Andrew Cuomo and Brad Lander. Yeah. What happened, dude? I thought the Jewish New Yorkers were so scared and they were so Islamophobic. Turns out that was actually a narrative coming from just the media.
A longtime Democratic consultant.
As I've said time and time again, they are Jews in New York. If they cared about Israel, they would be living in Israel. They'd be Jewish in Israel, okay? They are not living in Tel Aviv. They're living in New York. They got New York problems. They don't have Tel Aviv problems. They have New York problems. They could just as easily live in Israel if they wanted to. What the f are they living in New York? Because they're New Yorkers.
With him. So how do you think that the former mayor is feeling tonight?
I haven't talked to him tonight. When Mike endorsed former Governor Cuomo, put out a really heartfelt, thoughtful, and frankly great statement. I did not write it, in which he emphasized that no candidate is perfect. And maybe if Andrew Cuomo and his team had gone and agreed that no candidate is perfect more often, more voters would have given him support right now. He's still alive, but as it looks right now, his argument.
Actually, you know what? I've come to realize. I take it back. The Jewish population of New York is just Hamas. That's what it was. Because it's one or the other. You know what I mean?
The governor wasn't.
They're just
very
anti-Semitically not caring about Israel being a Jewish
why he was driven
demographic
from office
majority
we're seeing these
ethno-supremacist
results tonight where
apartheid
Zohran Mamdani is
which
clearly in a
peak
very good position
anti-Semitism.
going into the potential ranked choice voting scenario or computation that will occur on July 1st at noon.
I
will say that
I'm
factual.
I'm factual. Discussion is a good guy. Be nice.
Nice guy, lousy politician.
Oh, come on. On that note, be nice, be nasty. We're sending it back to Jessica and
I
could watch this all night.
Yeah, I hope nobody's feelings are too hurt over there. You guys going to be okay?
I've got a little thin skin sometimes.
All right, OB's got to recover. Okay, thanks, guys.
I'm as New York as it gets. Born and bred.
What is this? You like these polls? Those are all the polls covering June. All my normie friends don't care a single iota about politics and had zero idea who was running. I knew Zohran was going to do well when they asked me who was running and went, what? When I told them Cuomo was? Yeah, I mean, this is...
Let's go, 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 go!
New York Times newsroom looking for fresh anti-Semitism.
All right, this is it, people. Let's move. Let's go, 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 go!
Okay, I'm going to cook one up. They're going to say, New York showed that an Italian cannot champion anti-Semitism accurately. New Yorkers, confused by Zohran's name, thought he was Jewish and voted for him. That could be one, maybe. That's the other thing. Like, this is even crazier when you think about it than Hussein Obama. You know what I mean? His name is Zohran Mamdani. His father's name is Mohammed Mamdani. Zohran Kwame Mamdani. Wild. Once again, what you see on Twitter, it seemingly, is not real life at all. New Yorkers are finally anti-Italian once more.
It's the second campaign in a row in which a candidate who has spent a lot of time in Westchester County and does not understand what winter is, perhaps doesn't understand what it's like to be a New Yorker living in the winter in a cooped up space, no matter how rich you are. Second time, first Andrew Yang and now Andrew Cuomo saying it is a campaign, everything is chaos, which is...
I mean, Andrew Yang and Andrew Cuomo both literally, for some weird reason, believed their own memes that like all New Yorkers care about is Israel. Because I remember Andrew Yang doing some shit like that too. is kind of crazy. Like I always, whenever people like constantly talk about Israel in like the New York mayoral race, which happened last time as well, not to the same severity as this time because of obvious reasons, but like when they do that, I would always get mad. I'd be like, dude, this is stupid, right? Like this is just a way to gum up the works. This is just a way to try to like eliminate anyone that has like any sort of conscience about Israel's behavior, Israel's activity, right? It was not Muhammad, it was Mahmoud. My bad. I said his dad's name is not Muhammad, it's Mahmoud. My apologies. Listen, and then they would always say, oh, you have to talk about it because New York has a lot of Jewish people. And again, I would get very mad because it's like, okay, but they're Jewish people in New York. They're not Jewish people in Israel. They're Jews in New York. They're not Jews in Tel Aviv. They're in New York. They're New Yorkers. They're Americans, right? So I think what ended up happening for a lot of these guys, because like Andrew Cuomo spent every waking moment being like, Zohran he hates Jewish people. He hates Jewish people the most. Zohran Mamdani hates Jewish people. He never talked about his policies. He literally just barely even made a dent in the notion that he had experience, which, by the way, we know what kind of experience he had. He had experience, like, doing sexual assaults to cops. Okay. So I think like people probably were like, what the fuck? Why do I care about this?
I think this is a stunning result. I think the early votes, who they came from, where they come from, are staggering. We've never seen anything like it. Now, also, we have to reflect what's happened here. Zohran ran a positive campaign talking about affordability. Cuomo ran.
Damn, this is ass cheeks, this audio. It might be because of I'm not bi, nor am I straight. I'm a Cuomo-sexual. After careful deliberation and consulting the literature, the Cuomo campaign, Democratic majority for Israel, and Glenn Dubin gave to me, I have decided to endorse the only man for the job. Next week, let's make our voice heard. Yeah. Travis, this guy said he would arrest Netanyahu for crimes against human rights if he came to visit New York City. This is what this guy said. This is a disaster. Oh, that's so good. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All the liberals who were upset about, Zohran Mamdani being a socialist or whatever, just enjoy how much the Republicans are going to lose their minds over this. Please, just, it's time. We will forget all the stupid tweets you put out there. We will forget all the, this is a safe space, okay? All the liberals who were constantly complaining about Zohran Mamdani, he's too radical. He's too radical. I want, I don't know, one of the other guys. We will forget. We will forgive as long as you enjoy the moment.
This guy said that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu for crimes against human rights if he came to visit New York City. This is what this guy said. This guy said he wants to replace police officers with social workers, Sean. If you need help because you need the NYPD, this guy says, no, we're going to send you a social worker instead. This is a disaster, maybe unbelievably worse than Chicago, worse than LA. New York City is on the cusp of electing the worst mayor that they have ever chose, Bill de Blasio. People are going to be wishing that he was the guy.
Dude, they're having aneurysms. Oh, that's so awesome. That's so sick. That's so sick. Oh, all right. CNN is back to talking about the Iran nuclear sites looking real bombable again. Oh, my Lord. Looking submissive and bombable. Adam Carlson had a decent take on this as well. It turns out that the sexual predator who was funded by Republican mega donors, who cut Medicaid, stole from the MTA, who lied about the nursing home death toll during COVID, who was the physical embodiment of the Democratic status quo, was not what New York City primary voters wanted. It's coming. Fidel Castro is coming.
In 2021, still some of the political figures who called on him to resign back then turned around and endorsed him for mayor this time. A political road to redemption that's proving rockier than anticipated for a man who has led virtually every poll since announcing his candidacy for mayor in March of this year, March 1st of this year. The numbers, not what they hoped to see. Dick, Jessica.
Extraordinary turnaround.
Exactly right. Cuomo's been out of the game since 2021 when he resigned over the sex assault scandal, sexual harassment scandal. And I think what he was trying to do was
Mamdani doing autocrat numbers in Bushwick, Ridgewood, and Astoria is amazing. Mamdani walking through Crown Heights tomorrow. That's right. Y'all thought he was Shia. Turns out he's a Ba'athist, dude. That's right. Ba'athist party, secular socialism, rise up. Yeah, he was a different kind of. Turns out he's not even Arab, but turns out he was an Arab nationalist, a pan-Arabic nationalist movement understander. Mamdani won 72% in Greenpoint. That's crazy. Man, imagine if the stream was in New York right now. It would have been so good. Okay, everybody calm down, okay? It's fine. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. New York City's soul is rotting. Oh, my God. Oh, that's so good. Genuinely don't know anything about the mayor of Chicago. Why is such a talking point? Because Brandon Johnson was, he was also like a leftist hopeful, but Chicago is so cooked, even more cooked than New York is. Like New York, you are beholden to the real estate lobby and Wall Street and many financial interests, but you still, and also Albany. But in Chicago, it is the alderman's show, and it is Chicago is even more corrupt than New York, really. And he got held back quite a bit. He's very unpopular. The Chicago mayor is very, very unpopular. Partially because of the corruption and partially because he just wasn't very good at his job. There's no better way to put it. All right, let's see.
Competence, collaboration, and compassion. And with thanks to
Chinatown swept by.
I also know that the only way
Cuomo's losing several precincts in Flushing to a socialist. John Lew's endorsement looks like it helped here. Chinatown in Manhattan is a Zohran sweep. Let's go. White Chinese rise up. By the way, there are numerous hurdles here, okay? You have the general, which will be an issue. Not as big as an issue, but still an issue nonetheless. But you also have, then have competence when you are the mayor, because the same issues that I was mentioning will still obviously persist. The same issues will obviously persist as far as like when he is mayor and he does try to do some of the things that he wants to do. I have confidence in him. He seems like an earnest person. So I have confidence that he will push very hard. I don't know what happened. Why is Staten Island like this? What happened?
Everyone. I could have gotten not one more vote than the people standing on this stage.
Bro says Staten Island, more like Stalin Island. What is happening? Why did that happen? That is weird.
Woo! Thank you all for being here tonight. The votes are still being counted, and the ranked choice tabulations will take a few days. But this much is clear. Together, we are sending Andrew Cuomo back to the suburbs.
Even as a joke, you should not glaze the USSR. It's so bad for our cause. Shut up, bitch. Go out of here.
With our help, Zohran Mamdani will be the Democratic nominee for the mayor of the city of New York. And we are on a path to win a city that all New Yorkers can afford and where everyone belongs. I really can't put into words what the support of everyone in this room tonight means. You all did so much to make this campaign possible. There are leaders here from organizations and people who supported me long before it was cool. I want to especially shout out Make the Road Action, Tough Action, Choose for Racial and Economic Justice. You heard just a few minutes ago from Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. We have some other amazing people in the room, like State Assembly Member Emily Gallagher. Thank you. And I'll mention.
Wasn't there a whole thing about Lander backstabbing Zohran? No, he did not do that. As a matter of fact, I think he stuck close by his side. I mean, it doesn't. It
How
seems
about
like
everyone who made a contribution to
it
this
seems like
campaign?
Zohran's performance doesn't require much from second round ballots, but he will carry him. Most likely, he will carry him across the finish line.
Years. I really can't believe you all did that. It is incredible. I always say that really the thing I am most proud of in public service is building the best teams, and we have the best
Brad
one
Lander
of all.
literally did the opposite of Elizabeth Warren to Bernie Sanders. He stuck close. He stuck close by Zohran's side the entire process, and he sat there as people just looked foolish. Okay, this dorky-looking progressive Jewish man sat next to Zohran Mamdani as people yelled at Zohran over and over again about how anti-Semitic he is, and he just sat there and was like, he's not anti-Semitic. That's it. That's like he was by his side, very clearly a principled person, and definitely, I mean, what he did with the ICE agents, like going and getting literally arrested, trying to save someone from being deported. Like, he's clearly a good person. He's clearly a principled person. He had every opportunity to take advantage of the momentum to be like, yeah, he is anti-Semitic. You should vote for me instead. I'm the real progressive. And he never did that. I don't think that should be discounted. I don't think it was as cynical as the way people say it is. At least the way he carried himself was, I think, very impressive.
Really, your devotion, your passion, your belief in me as the right leader for this city mean more.
And yeah, he was already doing that before he got photographed getting arrested. He was doing that already. He just happened to also be arrested while doing it again.
And everybody else who worked on this team. I also need to thank some of the most important people in my life and on this campaign. I mean,
Just now, Zohran's comms director tells us he's feeling very confident, gives credit to the relentless focus on an economic agenda.
Just kidding, of course. I love Wordle and Connections, but I really urge the Times to cancel their new feature, editorial riddles. No one likes those. No, obviously, I mean the
fear-mongering
set of people
didn't work.
Who are standing here behind me.
What did
my
Egg Boy say?
incredible
Cuomo and all the people who
parents,
lined up
Carol
behind him
and
absolutely
David.
deserve to lose. Just an absolutely cursed series of decisions. Oh my God.
I'm sorry that Andrew Cuomo.
Egg Boy, don't even act sweet right now. Don't even. This is your L to hold too, bitch. Who did Egg Boy even talk about? He was like, he had like a immediate out the gate loser that he was pushing for. He actually was also another one of these he also was another one of these like anti-Zohran. Now listen, when I said like liberals, this is your opportunity. It's okay. We'll let bygones be bygones. We won't criticize you. Obviously, Matt Iglesias is not one of those rats that are jumping the ship right now as it's sinking. Okay? That's a little bit different. It's just like, yeah, if Cuomo ran a better campaign, he would have won. Is so funny. Like all of the silly shit that Cuomo represented, and all of the centrist Democrats once again showed their ass on the last second. Okay? All of the centrist Democrats showed their asses. Bill Clinton came out and was like, only other guy that does rape as good as me. I have to do it to him. The OG, the legend himself. Remember, I made him almost. Did he almost make him HUD secretary too? Like, he's my day one. We love Epstein.
Is just like such a dramatic understatement. I genuinely cannot believe my good fortune. You were brilliant the other day when I was detained, and you held it down in front of that crowd.
Part of the elation among progressives tonight is about Israel. It wasn't just
Even
that
though
Mamdani
you
survived
hate the
opposition by
mic,
AIPAC, is that he
and
refused to
even
back
better,
down
on
and
Friday
even leaned
when
into the
we
suffering of
went back there,
Palestinians.
you should have seen
That too.
We saw a
That
family
plays a role in this as
separation right
well.
before our
I mean, he
eyes.
moderated his message quite a bit.
A woman 8 months pregnant with her husband like ripped from her arms as we are
Zohran
standing
moderated
there, like
his
the
message quite a bit on this stuff because he was constantly getting relentlessly hammered. And it's a good moment to recognize once again that courage, bravery of this sort, saying what you actually mean and making sure that it sticks and being unafraid to say the truth about things like this, especially when it comes to Israel, when there's like an unlimited amount of bullying that takes place if you actually say the truth about Israel being an apartheid state, something that virtually every human rights group agrees on, okay? Every single one of them, and that Israel's doing a genocide. These sorts of things are no longer impossible to contend with. You can just say it, and it is a moment of relief for a lot of people, I think, that they can't even like gum up the works with this nonsense anymore. Felix, I can't be the only Jewish Democrat taking this tonight. It's over. He's going to murder us. It's too late. Okay, you have to stop sending me Felix Biederman tweets while there's 70,000 people in here watching. There's like people's parents are watching right now. They don't understand what is going on. God, Jonathan Greenblatt is probably in here watching. He's going to be like, look at this tweet that he laughed at. That's a real post from a real Jewish New Yorker who is voting on the Democratic ticket. He's going to be on MSNBC tomorrow being like, Zohran Mamdani, Hasan Piker, Kanye West. Who's the most anti-Semitic? Who knows? And nobody can tell.
It really has been the proudest, hardest, most humbling, and awe-inspiring time in my whole life. And I mostly just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who heard our call for a mayor who's got the integrity to end the era of Adams Cuomo corruption. A mayor with the progressive values that New Yorkers share. And a mayor with the government know-how to deliver on them.
I hear a lot of people talk about Zohran's supposed political instincts, but someone who is ruthlessly focused on becoming mayor of New York City would not die on this irrelevant job on the hill of intifada just means struggle. Oh my God. Oh, this is from a couple weeks ago. I thought he was still posting this.
Tonight, honestly. And then the very next day, that New York Times opinion panel said I was the best candidate to lead this city. And a few days later, Ezra Klein followed it with the nicest things anyone has ever said about me other than Meg and my parents. And then that night I got up on the debate stage inspired by Marek, and I hope I made you proud by showing New Yorkers just how unfit Andrew Cuomo would be.
The candidate of people who walk around wearing Friends of the IDF shirts around the Upper East Side is doing very poorly.
Survivors of sexual harassment.
Get fucked, bozo.
We're not going to allow that in our city government. That we're going to insist on a government that tells the truth, that stands up for folks who are undocumented, that insists on honesty and integrity at City Hall. It is not too much to ask for.
What's happening in New York City is a blaringly loud message to those in the Dem establishment who still cling to old politics, recite focus group talking points, and are too afraid to say what needs to be said. We have a lot to learn from Zohran Mamdani and his campaign.
That we're done with.
Bro, there are people out there that are giving this advice for free 99, okay? Free 99. It shouldn't take for someone to overcome to take on this Herculean task like Zohran, coming out of nowhere and being propped up by simple people power for the goddamn Democrats to actually turn around and say, hey, maybe we got to change our attitude here. Maybe we got to change trajectory. Stop following after things change, okay? Stop being followers. It's okay to be a leader, all right? It's so annoying. And my fear is that the Democratic establishment doesn't want to win anyway. So instead of looking at this moment and learning a very important lesson that there is a lot of mobilization that can take place. There is a lot of animosity towards the way things exist in this country. Okay? And guys like Zohran, populist messaging that hyper focuses on alleviating people's day-to-day stresses, their economic pressures that exist on top of them, is a successful method to campaign with. They can do this. But the issue is, do the Democrats want to do this? Will they actually do this? Because that requires them to basically drop the corporate oligarchy, their corporate benefactors. New York City swung right in the presidential election, but just nominated a Muslim socialist for mayor. This country isn't getting more right-wing. People are just fed up with cowards who don't stand for anything or care about making anyone's life better. This is not the vote we envisioned. I don't believe we are winning this primary election. Cuomo campaign advisor Frank Cedillo, ex-chairman of the Brooklyn Democratic Party, told Cuomo will run the general election and the fight and deliver ballot line. He said, we're just transferring the race to the general election. Of course, this is what's going to happen. That's why I said the fight is not over. 75% Bangladeshi vote. This ad paid off. Bro, you told us all elections the Democrats simply are just going to become more right. Wait, what? Are just going to become more right way? What do you mean? What? I mean, the Democrats have become more right wing. They clearly have. This is a direct attack against that because while they're going more right wing, they try to make it seem as though they're doing this not for their own personal benefit, but because they want to win elections. They constantly present this alternative vision where there is this moderate voter who wants the same kind of fascist policies of Donald Trump, but just more gay, more smug, more elitist. That's not real, okay? That's not real. That's not what Americans are looking for. They're not looking for the gayer version of what Trump is offering. They're looking for any kind of vision that breaks the existing system because the existing system they recognize is not helping them at all. A big part of Trump's appeal comes from the fact that he's a mallet. He's a hammer that destroys. In the eyes of people, he is a hammer that destroys all of the institutions. He doesn't destroy it to rebuild it. He doesn't destroy it in the right ways. Okay? But at least it's a change is the way that a lot of people
campaigns. But I have to tell you, this was a really special, talented group of people. I want to thank all the elected officials who stepped up. I want to thank the labor leaders who stepped up. I want to thank the carpenters, where we got it started in HTC in 1199. Give them a round of applause.
You suck. Also, those pig unions too, bro.
They were
Jesus
really
Christ.
fantastic. I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg, who stepped forward in a big way. I enjoyed having the team back together again. I'll tell you the truth. People came back from when I was at HUD. The old HUD team came back. That's 30
As a
years.
New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am black. I am gay. I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health and her choices. Because as a New Yorker, we are one community.
That's crazy. I can't believe he brought that back. That was wild. Did you guys hear that?
We discussed. But tonight was not our night.
Why did he say that?
Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night, and
Mamdani,
he put together
Assemblyman
a great
Mamdani.
campaign, and he touched young people and inspired them
Hold on, I
and
gotta get
moved
my
them
hat.
and got them to come out and vote. And he really ran a highly impactful campaign. I called him, I congratulated him, I applaud him sincerely for his effort, and let's give him a round of applause and thank him for his campaign. Now, I want to look at all the numbers as they come in and this ranked choice voting and what the numbers actually say and do. There is no doubt that there are important issues that are facing this city. That's why this election is so imperative. That's why so many people came out to vote, because these are real issues. And they're not getting better, and they're getting worse. And that's why New Yorkers are as concerned as they are. So the challenges we face are real, and they deserve real consideration. And I want to give some thought about the best way to help address them, the best way to help the party, but most of all, the best way to help the city. And that's what we'll be thinking about as we go forward. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be having conversations with that because the work is what is most important, and the city is what is most important, and the progress for the city at this important time is what is most important. And in the meantime, I just want to say thank you again from the bottom of my
Am I
heart
late?
for
We won, right,
your
guys?
really fantastic effort and friendship. Again, I want to applaud the Assemblyman for a really smart and good and impactful campaign. Tonight is his night. He deserved it. He won. And we're going to take a look. We'll make some decisions. But I love each and every one of you, and I thank you for what you've done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I just answered. Thank you.
Trump's first post about Mamdani is going to be very funny. I know. Oh, get fucking wrecked, dude. Oh, that's so good. Fucking RIP Bozo. Just don't run. Just save yourself the dignity. I mean, you're not a dignified person, but I mean, the smart thing to do is just not run. Don't even run. Fuck it. Did he just concede? No, I don't think he conceded. Did I misunderstand something? I don't think he conceded at all. No, the plan for them always was if they don't make it in the fucking primary, they will hit the he kept saying he won, but I think he was just talking about like the primary. If you guys think, no, it's not a real he conceded by saying he won. He said he didn't commit to running again. Oh, what the fuck? Well, I don't want to believe because I'm a big Cuomo supporter, as you guys know. So I don't want to believe that Andrew Cuomo actually conceded. I hope not. I was really excited. I needed New York mayor. I need New York mayor cop rapist to win again. What? Are you guys telling me he's not going to run in the general? What? I don't understand. He all but conceded. It all depends on the media coverage from this point forward. He's not willing to be embarrassed by losing in the general. It's a pride game for him. Okay. Well, is Richie Torres going to be okay? Because I think he said that he wasn't going to run for governor if Richie Torres is Felix Biederman. I apologize to anyone who committed suicide due to my last post. I will slash prices on cameos for any affected families. Anyway, the rest is for Cuomo supporters only. It's a sad night. But as always, the answers are in theory. We must become like fish. Upstate is our ocean. This is the book I read when I feel down as well. And also when I feel horny. In both instances, this is my book. This is my comfort book. Wait, Richie Torres, Zohran win. Richie Torres says, no thanks to 2026 gubernatorial run. To have like a far left mayor who's strategic and smart actively working against you, that just feels insurmountable. Wait, no, not guys. You're telling me Cuomo might not run and Richie Torres might not run for governor? Stop playing the victim card. What? Stop it. This is the worst night of my life. I don't understand. Those are my two favorite politicians. Well, at least Andrew Cuomo can go back to working on the international criminal court case against war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu, which he weirdly enough decided to join the legal team of. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of time on his hands now if he's not running for mayor. That was the reason why I like him so much. That's a man with an eye for justice right there. That's right, by the way. For those of you who don't know, Andrew Cuomo famously, for no fucking good reason, decided to join the legal team of Benjamin Netanyahu. One might ask the question why that is even a thing. Andrew Cuomo, okay, Sally Goldenberg says, senior editor for Politico says, just conceded Democratic primary for mayor in New York City, Zohran Mamdani. Cuomo had universal name ID, 25 million PAC backing him, and tons of institutional endorsements. Mamdani is a 33-year-old socialist. The magnitude of this cannot be overstated. Bill de Blasio comments. What's my other socialist king saying?
And I should note that you were urging people not to rank former Governor Andrew Cuomo. He was. They were the two front runners going into this. It seemed like based on the polling. But you do think that ultimately he's going to pull it out here based on what you're seeing so far.
Richie Torres. Richie Torres. I don't know if you're watching. We're coming for you, Richie. Poorest district in the nation, Richie. We're coming for you, Richie. You're probably not going to survive another one of these races, Richie, but you better go work for a lobbyist real quick. Maybe get a job at AIPAC or something. Oh no, Richie. Oh no. What was Richie Torres doing the last election cycle that he was on the ballot on coming up to the general? Oh, that's right. He was too busy posting not about his district, poorest district in the country, but instead was posting about a fucking Twitch streamer, the only fucking progressive Twitch streamer, as a matter of fact, in the top 10 fucking live streamers in this incredibly right-wing infested space, trying to get him deplatformed. Oh, Richie, you got a real nice seat there, man.